If your screen time is greater than your practice time, you're never allowed to complain about your playing time. Is this even possible to do nowadays?
It's difficult, but it's doable. And that's actually, that's my favorite post. And I came in with that one a long time ago. And originally it was bench time. No, it said screen time. And then it had the greater than sign, right? And then practice time equals bench time, right? And then I was like, that's kind of long and it wouldn't fit. And so I tweaked it a little bit and I came in with that. And it's 100% true, right? If you show me your phone, and all phones have timers on them. Like if you look up, it'll tell you how much time you spend on Instagram, how much time you spend on YouTube, like all those metrics, right? Nobody ever wants to look at those because they're horrible. And you feel bad, but you're like, oh, well. And so if you told me you wanted to be a next level athlete, and I looked at your phone and you had 6 hours of social media, you don't really want to be an athlete. You like playing the game, which is cool. And maybe you're winning, which is cool, but you're not looking at next level play, whatever the next level is. Right. And this is another one where they're like, well, I'm watching game film you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It ain't game film. It's none of that stuff. Right. And screen time equals Netflix. Screen time equals, if you're playing video games, right? Fortnite, that's screen time. Anything that is non-educational, if you're educating yourself, that doesn't count. Even if you're doing it on a screen. I'm talking entertainment value screen time. And so a lot of players always, coach hates me. Coach doesn't like me, right? Coach probably doesn't like your habits. He can probably tell you're not putting in the work, right? He knows what you're doing because he can listen. When you're on a team and it's performance related, it's movement, it's strength, and stuff like that. You can't lie about whether you're putting in the work or not. It shows on the field. The game never lies. Game film never lies, right? So somebody said, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, show me your habits and I'll show you your future. Another one's show me your friends and I'll show you your future, but show me your habits and I'll show you your future. Well, if you put in 2 hours a day on practice and you put in 4 hours a day on screen time, you're not going to make it. And I don't think you're really serious. Now, that being said, I'm not saying no screen time. The average person looks at their screen average 6 hours a day, right? Cut that in half. I'm still giving you 3 hours out of the day, right? Or cut 2 hours off of it. I don't care. Just cut it down, right? Cause that's truly go back to talking about systems. What are your habits? And scrolling on Instagram for 3 hours a day. And I'll do the same thing. You can't, it's a fight that's very difficult to win because I pick up my phone and I go to say, oh, I'm just going to go check something. And then 30 minutes later, I haven't even checked it. Right. And I found that social media, you waste your time 15 minutes at a time because I found myself, that's how long I notice that I've been scrolling before I notice. It's like 15 minutes. Right. So if you really want to be a next level athlete, can I tell by your habits? And one of your habits is your screen time. And if your screen time is greater than your practice time, that's fine, but don't complain about your playing time. And that's the first. Here's the deal. You've made it when you see your quotes on somebody else's post. That's when you've made it, right? Because somebody is actually like, and that's different than a repost because they're trying to take that into their psychology and how they talk about the game and how they're trying to help athletes and stuff. And here's the deal. Anything that I do or say it's nothing that nobody else doesn't know. Right. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a nothing. I just pay attention. And one of the things that I've learned over the time is that social media, I got another post. I hope this isn't one of your favorite ones, but I have robbed more people of their dreams than procrastination and laziness combined. And it's a quote. And then it says social media, right? there's going to be so much greatness in this generation that is untapped because of social media. Now, it's a great thing. I would have never had the reach that I have without it, but it's like a brick. Do you break a window with it or do you build a hospital? Right? What do you do with it? And that's what I'm talking about with social media. If your screen time is greater than your practice time, don't complain about the playing time.
I think that the key there especially is to understand how social media and that screen time transfers to other things, because it's not necessarily just being on social media that I believe you're talking about, but it's the consequences of being on it. For example, if you're in bed watching social media before going to sleep, that's going to mess with your sleep, and messing with your sleep is going to mess with your performance. So it's like adding on those separate things. Or I mean, personally, like from everything you said, if you already did your practice, if you already did your weightlifting, if you already did your injury prevention, if you already did your film, if you already did the scouting on the other team, if you already know who you're going to be marking in the game, you know all of that. And on top of that, you already did your homework. You already got ahead for the days that you're going to be gone for travel for the competition. If you already did all of that, go ahead and spend time on the screen. And then like an hour before going to bed, turn it off. With that being said, if you've done all of that, that's naturally how you reduce your time. It's not about just taking it away. It's about reallocating that same time to other things. And I think that's what you're talking about of, well, I'm not getting the minutes that I want, but I'm also not watching film, and I'm also not hitting the weights, and I'm also not doing injury prevention, and I'm also not doing scouting and film and all these separate things. I think that's what you're talking about. Am I right?
That's 100%. And what you just said, you could there was so much knowledge nuggets in what you just said. You have systems in there. You were talking about like just that comment that you made right there could be an entire podcast, but you're right. It's okay to do the things that you want to do when you've done the things that you need to do. Right. And if you want to be an athlete and go to the next level, again, at any level, whatever your level is, could be C team to JV, right? You have to do everything in your power to get there, because as a student athlete, you only got so many years in school. Like there's a finite amount of time. Now you can play sports the rest of your life, right? But this chance in high school, very limited, right? Junior high, high school, right? First years of college, whatever it is. But yeah, you have to, it's like you said, you can't take it away. You have to replace it. You can't quit a bad habit. You have to replace a bad habit, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That was a huge, you should that piece right there. I'm gonna take some notes from that. That's a ton of information, right? You take that right there and that's an entire course. That's an entire, there's so much to student athletes nowadays. And this is what I'm talking about. I wish I would have been the guy that I knew, right? Just because any edge you can give your kid playing, because let's be honest, as a parent, the only thing you want to do is watch your kid play in the game. That's all you want to do. As an athlete, all you want to do is play in the game. That's it. That's what everything is about. Nobody, I mean, yeah, you go to next level, but if you're not playing in the game and you're going to practices, and there's roles, you got to know your role, right, on the team, but you can always change your role on the team. You can always become better.
And I think it definitely comes with just understanding how you can improve. For example, everybody just cares about the game, right? Everybody cares about the result. And I think that's one of the harshest realities I've had to learn, which is that nobody cares about how hard you worked if you can't provide the results. And that's a harsh reality. That's just how it goes. But the interesting thing there is nobody will care about the results if you don't work hard to get them, because they go hand in hand. So it's complicated, and it's just sacrificing what you want to do for what you need to do, short term, long term, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's one of those things that just ties up with priorities, which leads us to the very next one.